Well, hello. My name is Gus Von Rowan, and I am a permaculture consultant and also the executive director and founder for a nonprofit called Omaha Permaculture. And we are here today in Santee Reservation to actually talk about gardening and backyard gardening for everyone for the whole season, for annual crops and perennial crops. So we're going to talk about soil quality, we're going to talk about water, we're going to talk about companion plants, we're going to talk about weeds, we're going to talk about your favorite foods and how best to bring them to your table at the end of the season. The reason you would want to start your own garden is actually because growing food is like printing your own money. And I'm quoting someone, Ron Finley from Los Angeles. He does guerrilla gardening, and I think that really is a good point, because good nutritious food is hard to come by. It's also very expensive. If you go to the food or the market and you can see that those big vegetables, the vegetables that are traveling halfway across the world to come to our plate, is actually very achievable and possible to grow in your own backyard. For step one, the first thing that we want to do is actually talk about the design for the garden. Where are we going to plant certain things, and where does everything end up as a best place to plant and the best place to grow for the season? We're looking for a good way to plant vegetables that people love, and the vegetables that they're more likely to use on a daily basis, whether it's your salsa garden with tomatoes and peppers and cilantros, but really we're trying to get people excited about gardening, and really the best way to do that is talk about the foods that they want to grow and the ones that they want to eat. So step one is really the discussion about the design. And so step two for this garden is then, after the design has been agreed upon, then we actually get the seeds out and we talk about the placement and where everything is going to go, but pretty much the soil has been tilled for us. So step two is really planting the seed. Step three for us today will actually be marking where we did plant everything and make sure that we do remember where we did plant everything, so that when we come back next week after the rains and we see things popping up, that we do remember and we know exactly where we did plant our seeds. Well, step four today is really to kind of talk about the maintenance of our garden. And so this would kind of be the final step of today's workshop, but we're going to make sure that we organize maintenance teams of people that are going to be weeding it and watering it throughout the growing season. Well, for your normal startup garden, the maintenance in a garden is mostly weeding and keeping the soil moist and wet for the plants so that they can grow. Really, we're talking about getting out there and doing the hard work of making sure that the weeds are not out competing the plants that you want to eat. And they're actually going to be competing for the same nutrition in the soil. So anytime that you can get out there and pull the weeds, you're doing a garden good by doing that as soon as you can and as often as you can. Anybody can garden. Honestly, some of the best traditions of gardens are of our ancestors and our elderly and the people that really have always had a garden in their backyard. And honestly, I'd love to see our elders teach our youth how to garden, because that is really the best way to get people excited about growing food, and then also learning about how to prepare the food in your kitchen, and how our grandparents really know how to make a really good dish, and grandmother always knows how to make the best food. Step one is the design discussion of the garden. Step two is planting the garden. Step three is labeling and making sure that everything is where we want them and where we're going. So it's identification. And then step four is actually organizing the maintenance for the seasonal chores throughout the whole season.